Now, if a lot of y'all will take that and say, oh, healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones, what is that? Basically, it's going to be good. But a lot of you still is kind of like, well, that's not a good enough reason for me. Why should I trust this God? And the only way that you can know that you're going to trust them, or that you should trust someone, is if you know them. I've gotten burned so many times by people that, like, you meet them, it's like, yeah, man, yada, yada, and I, like, tell them my entire life story, just, like, really trusting and stuff, like, yeah, dude, you're not going to rat me out. And then the next day, you hear back, you're like, whoa, wow, I should not have told that person that stuff. So how do you know if you can trust someone? You build a relationship with them. You get to know them. So in order that you can kind of see who God is, I want to paint the picture for you. I want to tell you and explain to you who God is. Now, God in the beginning created everything. He's all-powerful. He's God. And He made man and He made woman. And He said, you know what? I want to have a relationship with them, and I want them to love me. So He gave them a choice, because love also is a choice. He said, look, here's one rule. Don't eat from this tree. Choose to love me instead. Choose to have a relationship with me. I've got all this other awesome stuff for you. Man rebels, eats from the tree, and there's consequences. If I go out today and I kill someone, which I'm not going to do, but if I go out today and I kill someone, the judge, if he's a good judge, is not going to stand up there in his little stand and be like, you killed someone, go on, you're good. Just don't do it again, because that's not good. Just don't do it again. All right, that's not going to happen if he's a good judge. So God, being basically the best judge, you sin against a big God, there's big consequences. So God's like, you know what, guys? You broke the rules. You did evil. I have to punish you. So it broke fellowship between God and man because of the sin, and because God is holy and we're not. It's like opposites, and they're bashing against each other, kind of. But God said, you know what? There has to be consequences. The debt from what they've done has to be paid. Someone has to pay their sentence. I want to forgive them so I can bring them back to me. So the entire Old Testament, the entire first part of the Bible, is just a series of people making decisions. Do I trust God or do I not trust God? You see that when they trust God, all this crazy cool stuff happens, and when they don't, bad stuff happens. And the whole time he's like, trust in me. Have this relationship with me. I want to forgive you and restore the relationship and bring us back together. So God did this, and this is a great illustration for some. I know a lot of you have heard the story of Jesus dying on the cross. Some of you have seen the Passion. This is a great kind of illustration of what He did. You wake up in this room, and you're surrounded. You're like, oh gosh, what's going on? And you see file cabinets everywhere. So you go up to the first file cabinet, something like whatever. It's like crushes I've had. And you look through there. There's several from preschool. It's like, oh, I remember her. And you're like, wait a minute, all these are people I like. This is my life. And you close it. You go to another one that says books that I've read. You open it up, and there's like 3 little index cards in there, and it's books that you read in like 2nd grade. You're like, dude, that's not good. So you close that drawer, and you go up to another drawer, and you see these things in there, and it's got your name signed on it. You're like, yeah, because this is stuff that I did. My name signed on it, proving basically I did it. So then you go up to another drawer, you kind of like keep digging your way through, and you find another cabinet that has on it lustful thoughts that I've thought. You open it up, and it's overflowing, and you're looking at it, and you're like, oh my gosh, how is this in here? You go up to another one, and it says lies that I've told. You open it up, and you're flipping through them, and you're like, this is, oh my gosh, and it's got your name signed on it. It's like, I did do this. And you keep going through, and you keep finding all this filthy, evil stuff that you did when a lot of people didn't know about it, and it's there. Your entire life is there in these cabinets, and you're freaking out. You're like, I gotta find the door, find the key, and then like throw it away forever so no one can ever find it. And just as you're thinking these thoughts, you turn around, and there's Jesus. And you're like, whoa, Jesus, what are you doing, man? There's nothing cool going on here. Jesus, you go back out there, wherever you came from. Jesus, no, this is my space. This is my area, personal bubble. And Jesus goes up to one of the filthier cabinets, and you're like, no. He opens it up. He looks at the cards, and he just kind of flips through them. And you can tell he's sad. He's like, And you're like, Jesus, no, stop looking at those. And he goes up to another drawer and he opens it and he looks at it and he's flipping through them. He's like, Jesus, come on! How many times do I have to tell you? Stop looking. That's nothing, really. You know, the names don't mean anything. And he starts taking them and he starts scribbling out your name, writing Jesus to the side. It's like, what are you doing? You're looking over his shoulder and he picks up another one, scribbles it out, writes Jesus. It's like, no, Jesus, this is my mess. I did this. These are all my mistakes. Why are you signing your name on them? This is stuff that I did. I need to own up to this. I need to accept the consequences for this. And he just keeps signing his name over them in red. And it's like, Jesus, why are you doing this? And he says, because I love you. Because instead of having you pay for this, I'm going to pay for it. Because I love you and I want to forgive you and I want to restore that relationship. Because a price has to be paid and I want to pay it instead. And that is the story of Christ dying on the cross for us. A price had to be paid, but he paid it instead. He rose again 3 days later, defeating our sin and defeating our death. So the question that, why should I trust this God? Looking at who he is and what he does and how he loves us, why should we not trust this God? If there's someone that loves you that much and is that crazy about you, why should you not trust him? You see, even a lot of you will be like, well, religion and coming to church is a bunch of rules. It's a bunch of rules that I'm supposed to follow. It's all these laws and stuff. And I've seen it, like, they come to church and they're wearing the polos or the button-downs, the ties, and, if I come to church, I'm going to have to ride a bicycle and wear a suit, and we're like, no, guys, that's not us. We see all these rules. And the thing is, the rules, it's like we hear rules and we're like, oh, that's bad. But the rules are really good for us, even. Like, if you just look at some of the 10 Commandments, God's like, hey, guys, you know what? Life would be better if you didn't kill each other. Life would be better if you didn't steal. Life would be better if you didn't commit adultery. In fact, I'll take it a step further. Life would be better if you gave your entire heart over to one person and just had an awesome marriage, an awesome relationship that way. And he has these laws and these rules and stuff, and he's like, look, guys, I'm not asking you stuff that's going to hurt you. I'm asking you to do stuff that's going to make life better. And the stuff that's in the Bible, the laws part of it, is all stuff for our good. And the instruction, the stuff is like, hey, trust me, it's all stuff for our good. So I kind of want to land here. Jesus talks in the book of Matthew, and he compares the people. He says, he's talking to these guys that are here with him. He's like, look, there's two types of people. There are those of you that will hear the stuff that I say, and you'll listen. And there's those of you that will hear the stuff that I say, and you won't listen to it. And this is what it's like. The guy that hears what I say and listens to it is like a guy that builds his house on a rock. The rock being me and the actions, the direction that I'm saying. All right? He builds his house on this rock. And when all the storms come, it's like, when the storms come and they attack the house, it's going to be fine. It's going to stand. It's because it has a really strong foundation. The house is going to be fine. But those of you that hear what I say and you don't do it, you do something else, it's like you're building your house on the sand. And every time a storm comes and hits your life, every time something bad happens, the house is going to get torn up. It's going to be destroyed. And so many of you will come back from a summer camp or a mission trip or a Disciple Now, and you'll be like, yeah, I'm going to rebuild my house. After all this stuff that's come and has destroyed it, I'm going to rebuild my house. And you wonder why nothing gets better and why you keep getting messed up again when you're going back and you're building your house on the same patch of sand. You're going back to the same friends, going back to the same parties on the weekends, and you're saying the same things and taking the same actions on this direction, and no matter how bad you want to be over here, your direction is putting you this way. And you keep building your house on that sand, and he's just like, look, trust me. Verse 7. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, respect me, turn away from evil. And if you do, it's going to be healing to your flesh. It's going to be refreshment to your bones. It's going to be awesome.